Welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, where here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, we discuss, honor, celebrate all things college football across this entire nation, with a special emphasis on our beloved black and gold squads of the Missouri Tigers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Welcome back. It's great to have you with me once again. I am your host, Blair Parks, and this is my Week 12 review show. And what a Week 12 in college football we had yet again. This season has not disappointed, a season unlike any other, even though that would technically be 2 seasons back-to-back that we've said that tagline and slogan. But it's the truth. This has been a season unlike any other as far as the upsets we've seen, the parity, and the overall joy, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. And it absolutely continued during Week 12. And before I go any further, would like to thank you, as I always do. I appreciate your love, your support, and I always welcome any likes, shares, any subscriptions. If you would like to comment, if there's something you would like me to discuss on air, or feel free to call me out. I've never claimed to be perfect. I never have. I never will. If I make a on-air gaffe, let me know about it. If I've forgotten something or was incorrect, let me know. I would love to share your comments, your feedback on air with the entire Black and Gold family. And it's great to be back with you, finally back from vacation. I'm going to have the normal 3 episodes this week, but with a little bit of a tweak. Normally I have my review show on Mondays, my power ranking show on Wednesdays, and then the preview show on Thursdays. But this week, short week due to the Thanksgiving holiday, I'm going to be putting in some overtime this week on the show for everybody. I got the show today. My power ranking show will be tomorrow, Tuesday. And then my Week 13 preview will be out Wednesday. Why do I have to do that? Well, not just because of the Turkey Day holiday, but also our Black and Golds are both in action this week, and they both play on Black Friday. So I want to make sure that you, Black and Gold family, are in the know as far as the matchups between Missouri at Arkansas and Iowa at Nebraska. So what I have today, I have 4 segments and topics to share with you. Definitely would like to start off as normally. I like to revisit my key matchups that I shared with you during my Week 12 preview show last week. Then I want to bring you up to speed on who became bowl eligible with victories during Week 12, and there's a few teams that still need that coveted 6th win who are sitting there at 5-6 and will have one more opportunity upcoming in Week 13. And then I want to give you a little bit of analysis and reaction to how our black and gold squads looked on the field on Saturday, both bringing home W's, and I'll expand on that here shortly. Stay with me. And then go into kind of the review of the trap games. How did I do with the trap games that I brought to your attention during the Week 12 preview show? And also revisit how Week 12 Pick'em treated me and my former co-host Charlie, Mizzou fan number 1. And also I had 2 guest pickers square off in Thunderdome. It was my kids, the Cinderella story against Brett. I'll let you know who won that head-to-head matchup. And to the winner did advance to the finals in the inaugural Touchdown Black and Gold Guest Picker Tournament Final. Stay tuned for those results. So without further ado, let's get into it. And you have noticed today I decided to break out my camo Iowa hat, a little shout out and homage to my hunting brothers and sisters, even though I am not a hunter, never have been, never will be. It is deer season here in Missouri. Just want to say good luck, have a good hunt, be safe, definitely be mindful. Even though he had himself a spear, we don't want any King Robert Baratheon type accidents while on the hunt. So that's why I'm donning some camo today. So let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? So the first key matchup I'd like to revisit that I shared with you was the big tilt in the ACC. Number 10 Wake Forest traveled to Clemson and basically was a huge prove-it kind of game. The old saying, to be the best, you've got to beat the best. Wake Forest was the highest-ranked ACC squad at perennial powerhouse and blue blood Clemson, and they went down in flames. Clemson earned their fourth straight victory, 48-27, and Clemson just proved to still be the gold standard in the ACC, especially in that specific division, the ACC Atlantic. Also, and this is why this was a huge win for Clemson. They are done. This week they wrap up with their in-state rival, South Carolina. But this is what has happened. Now that Clemson defeated Wake Forest, who was the leader in that division, in Week 13, if Wake Forest happens to trip up at BC and North Carolina State loses, Clemson would then automatically qualify for the ACC title game and win the Atlantic. Who would have saw that coming? But also this game, Clemson scored a season high in ACC play. One of the biggest turnarounds we saw during this season. Early in the season, the first half, this Clemson offense was absolute just primordial ooze, very toxic Avenger-like. But here they are putting up a 48 burger on the best team in the ACC via rankings and statistically. So big time win for Coach Dabo Swinney and Clemson. They tried to knock off South Carolina. That'll be their fifth straight win. Tune in. I might talk about this game a little bit on Wednesday during the Week 13 preview show. So big time win for Clemson. Wake still has plenty to play for. They win. They still could be playing for that coveted New Year's 6 game. So we'll see what plays out. But also in the ACC, Pittsburgh did a little catching up. Pittsburgh did defeat Virginia. So Pitt, they clinched the ACC Coastal. They await the winner of the Atlantic in the ACC title game in 2 weeks. Next matchup. Woo-wee! Big one in the Big Ten, especially the Big Ten East. We had number 7 Michigan State travel to the Horseshoe, number 4 Ohio State, and this game was over before it began. The final score, I'm going to say this right now and then elaborate, 56-7, Ohio State. Just let that sink in for a moment. It was 49-0 at the half. This was touted as a huge matchup for a big-time, high-stakes game. The winner then would basically have the inside track to get to the Big Ten title game and then play for a potential playoff bid. But it went absolutely sour, went awry immediately for Michigan State. It was very, almost Cobra Kai-like was the Ohio State offense. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. That's basically what it was like when you watch this game unfold. Also was a matchup of 2 potential Heisman Trophy finalist candidates. One of them had an absolute Heisman moment type game. The other might find himself out of the Heisman Trophy race. Tomorrow, I'll go ahead and update you on where I see the Heisman Trophy. Those finalists stack up right now. But the person who did was Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud. These numbers I'm going to share with you, this is not a typo. I had to look twice, like Santa had to check my list twice, had to make sure. C.J. Stroud was 32 of 35 passing for 432 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, basically in one half. So he absolutely cemented himself as a Heisman Trophy finalist. He might even now be the Heisman Trophy frontrunner. Once again, tune in tomorrow. I'll bring you up to speed on that. And coming into the game, my Heisman favorite at the time was Michigan State running back Kenneth Walker III, old Canine. But his numbers this game, not very Heisman-like at all. Basically totaled, what do we got? 25 yards rushing for Kenneth Walker III. So he may even find himself not even on the short list of my Heisman Trophy finalists. Once again, tune in tomorrow and I'll bring you up to speed. But a huge game for Ohio State. I mean, they looked the part. Definitely, they will be finding themselves absolutely in the top 4 when the updated playoff rankings are revealed tomorrow evening. So big win for the Buckeyes. Sets up a huge game this week for the game between Ohio State and Michigan. That is going to be my spotlight game of the week. Early spoiler alert. It has to be, because it's great to see that game actually matter once again. And I can't wait to talk more about that game on Wednesday. So come on back for the Week 13 preview show. Next game was number 11 Baylor traveled to the Little Apple to take on the Wildcats of Kansas State, a place that has been an absolute snake pit for a lot of previously high-rated teams, but it proved not to be for the Bears. They pick up a 20-10 victory in a very kind of take care of business, workman-like effort and win for the Bears. The Bears are still absolutely in the race to make the Big 12 title game. They do need a little bit of help. They need to win this week, and they need Oklahoma State to beat Oklahoma as those two teams meet up in the Bedlam rivalry game on Saturday. Huge race there in the Big 12. So Baylor is going to be rooting hardcore for Oklahoma State for the Pokes to get the victory, but they themselves have to win. So take care of your business first, Baylor, and you might find yourself in the Big 12 title game. Next one was UAB at undefeated number 22 UTSA, the Roadrunners, a team that I have been high on all year. And wow, I mean, this is like the way this game ended. They ended up winning 34-31 over the Blazers at home. That actually then, with that win, they locked up and clinched their division and their first ever appearance in the Conference USA title game, which will happen in 2 weeks. But it was a miracle-like finish. It's like these guys are like the Hoosiers of college football. I mean, the play that took place was almost Jimmy Chipwood-like. I'll make it. That's all you really had to say. I mean, being down, they needed a touchdown to pull out the victory. And with 3 seconds remaining, they score a touchdown, but it was off a deflection, a tipped pass. The receiver concentrated, brought it in, and that's how they won, basically in walk-off fashion. It's like nothing can go wrong. It was meant to be for this team. I mean, what a great story out of San Antonio. I mean, this is a awesome story. This is one of the reasons why I am so passionate and love this sport. This team absolutely characterizes why we love this sport. And there's nothing out there that can rival it. Nothing. So big time win there for UTSA. Let's see if they can finish this regular season undefeated and win the Conference USA title game to get to a perfect 13-0 going into bowl season. Now, the last key matchup that I want to revisit was a huge one. Huge. All eyes turned. This was my spotlight game of the week. All eyes turned to the West Coast. Matchup of number 3 Oregon, squarely in the playoff picture. They traveled to Salt Lake City to take on the Utes, the 2 Utes, and absolutely the Utes came out on top. It was an absolute dominant beatdown by Utah over Oregon to the tune of 38-7. This game, Oregon never had any response to the physicality, the environment, the game plan, and just the moment that was against them, but everything fell on the right side for Utah. Oregon never had an answer for anything. I mean, got completely dominated. I mean, and that's what Oregon, historically, they have struggled with this kind of a team that's very physical, a.k.a. Stanford, who knocked them off earlier this season. But Stanford teams in the past, that is kind of been the blueprint how to defeat the Ducks. Is ball control, physical, control the lines of scrimmage, pound it down their throats, and deny them the ball. That is what seems to work, and Utah executed that to perfection. Shout out to Utah. With that victory, they clinched the Pac-12 South. They'll be playing the winner, which is still yet to be determined, in the Pac-12 North. That's why this was a huge loss for Oregon. Not only is their playoff bid and hopes completely dashed, it also is for the entire Pac-12 conference. And unfortunately, we're going to find the Pac-12 left out yet again. But now, this week, it could come down to the, I don't think they call it this anymore because of PC, but it used to be called the Civil War rivalry between Oregon and Oregon State. It actually is going to come down to that game. So huge potential for the Beavers to win the North if they can go to Eugene and beat the Ducks on their home turf, in their pond, so to speak. So we'll see what happens, but I was very impressed by this Utah squad. I picked them to win just like Charlie did, just like Brett did, but I did not see it in this fashion. I mean, Utah held Oregon to just 50. Actually, no, this is the numbers that really summarize it. Utah was 11 for 14 on third downs. That is amazing. And they rushed the ball for 50 times. Just absolutely body blow after body blow, kidney shot after kidney shot. And that was it. This game was basically over at halftime. So huge win for Utah. Proud for Coach Kyle Whittingham, one of my favorite coaches, always performs, get them up. Well done. And let's party like it's 1999. They're in Salt Lake City. And in watching this game too, it was really kind of like Oregon was the whipping boy. Like they were taking the punishment, kind of enjoying it, but asking more for it, even though as uncomfortable as it was. Reminded me of Kevin Bacon in Animal House. You know, whoop-up, thank you, sir, may I have another? Whoop-up, thank you, sir, may I have another? That is exactly what it reminded me of. So, great game, Utah. And this could be a rematch. We might see these same two teams meet up in 2 weeks in Las Vegas for that Pac-12 title game. I have to wait and see. So that was my key matchups that I wanted to revisit, let you know how they came out from last week's Week 12 preview show. Next, with wins, I want to share with you a short list of teams that won during Week 6 and got them, or Week 12, getting that sixth win, getting themselves to bowl eligibility. Out of the ACC, Louisville, North Carolina, and Miami all got that sixth win. From the Pac-12, the Cougars of Washington State qualified. From the SEC, South Carolina, Tennessee, and M-I-Z-Z-O-U, our Missouri Tigers got their sixth win. They upset Florida in a big-time game. It was Mizzou's moment of the year so far. Stay tuned. I'll give you more analysis on that game here next. They got to their sixth win as well. In the MAC, Toledo, Kent State, and Miami of Ohio picked up their sixth wins. They're bowl eligible. In the Mountain West, Wyoming, the Cowboys pulled an upset at Utah State. They get themselves bowl eligible. Way to go, Cowboys. And out of the Sun Belt Conference, the Georgia State Panthers, they picked up their sixth win as well. And the MAC, that's intriguing that I said two of those three teams, Kent State and Miami of Ohio, just picked up their 6 wins this week, but they actually are tied going into Week 13 for the MAC East title, and guess what? Those two teams will finish it on the gridiron as they match up in Week 13. Finish him. We're going to have it decided the old-fashioned way, mano-a-mano, on the gridiron with the pigskin. I can't wait to talk about that Kent State-Miami of Ohio game. That'll be on my picks, but stay tuned. Check in later this week for the Week 13 preview, and we'll talk more about that game. Now, there are some teams that still need that one more win to get to 6, and they'll have one more opportunity going into Week 13. Those teams out of the ACC will be Florida State, Syracuse, and Virginia Tech. And side note, what a huge matchup that's going to be. I did not see this coming at all, but you talk about, I shared last week the status of college football in the Sunshine State. It's not very sunny right now. Now that Florida lost to Missouri over the weekend, they sit at 5-6, just like Florida State does. So to the winner of that game, and yep, you guessed it, they meet up here in Week 13. To the winner of that game goes bowl eligibility. To the loser stays home. And there were big-time ramifications that happened from that Florida loss to Missouri. Get to that here in a little bit as well. If you're a college football fan, you already know what I'm referring to. But if not, maybe you missed it. I'll bring you up to speed. You got to be in the know. That's my job, to keep you in the know, to give you a well-rounded education on all things college football. The Big Ten, a couple teams still need a win going in for Week 13. That is Maryland and Rutgers. And yes, guess what? Those two teams also meet up on Week 13. Winner take all to a bowl game. The loser stays home. Big-time game there in the Big Ten coming up. In the Big 12, TCU and West Virginia will be playing for their bowl lives in Week 13. In the SEC, I already mentioned Florida and also LSU. LSU is less than 2 calendar years removed from winning a national title, and here they are playing for bowl eligibility Week 13, and they host a very good Texas A&M squad. So they will be an uphill battle for Coach Ed Orgeron. Go Tigers! And unfortunately, that will be his last time on the sidelines for LSU. He will not be coming back next year as the head coach. So they'll be playing for their bowl eligibility lives against the Aggies on Saturday night. Out of the American Athletic, Memphis and Tulsa still need that win Week 13 to get to a bowl game. Conference USA, there's 4 teams who need that 6th win. Old Dominion, Middle Tennessee State, Florida Atlantic, and Charlotte. And I believe Charlotte and FAU meet up. So to the winner of that game goes bowl eligibility. I love that. I love the high drama of these conference races that a lot of people just aren't paying attention to. I love it, and I love that, the spirit of getting to that 6th win, how it all comes down to the wire on the line and last week of the season. And then also out of the MAC, Ball State needs a win. The Mountain West, San Jose State, the Spartans need a victory, and so do the Islanders of Hawaii. And out of the Sun Belt Conference, Troy and South Alabama are both needing their one more win in Week 13 to get to bowl eligibility. So that's what's on the line for those teams. Kind of like Eminem, they got to ask themselves, if you had one chance, one shot, what would you do? Hopefully they get the victory and get to bowl eligibility. Now, let me go ahead and get to my next segment. Let me give you a little bit of analysis and insight and thoughts on how our black and gold squads performed over the weekend. Was a good weekend. Holla! Both Missouri and Iowa brought home W's. One was big time. The other, a victory, but still a little bit of head scratching, a little bit of concern. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to start off with Missouri. And what a moment for Coach Eli Drinkowitz and the current rebuild going on at Missouri. This was an absolute big-time chance to get your 6th win, to potentially knock off a blue blood in Florida, one of the teams in the SEC, but more specifically in your division, that you could absolutely say is a have. They're not one of the have-nots. I mean, they have won multiple national titles. They are in the SEC East race every year with Georgia. So this was a huge victory. Huge victory for Missouri over Florida in Columbia. I wish I could have gone. I wish I would have been there. I tried, missed out, but I have no regrets. I spent the whole evening with my daughter, a little father-daughter date. It was great. So no complaints, no regrets. But they defeat Florida as a 9-point underdog at home. with a 24-23 walk-off victory in overtime when they called and converted a 2-point conversion. Big time win and moment for Missouri. Just to get to that 6th win, just to get to a 13th game. I mean, that is huge for your development, to get more reps with your young players, get them into the system, get them better acclimated, and also try to pick up another victory. And hopefully you face off with a decent opponent, because that goes a long way in measuring sustainability, not just the wins you get, but who you play and how you play against certain opponents. So big time. You know, they should celebrate there. I'm sure they are. Really, most of this game was kind of an ugly game. It was really up for grabs, and I did watch this game with Charlie, my former co-host, and we said throughout the game that this game could have been a 17-point lead by either team. It really was fairly ugly. It seemed like Florida was handing the game to Missouri, but also maybe Missouri was handing the game to Florida at times. No one really wanted to seem to separate themselves. But when push came to shove, Mizzou got it done. They turned the corner. They played cleaner football in the 4th quarter in overtime. But before that, Florida really missed their opportunities to kind of dispatch of Missouri. Overall, Tyler Beatty did what he does. He had basically a non-existent first half, not because of his lack of production, but lack of touches. And on social media, Coach Drink was getting a lot of flack for basically abandoning his best weapon early. I think he only had 8 rushing attempts in the first half. But still, the second half, especially the 4th quarter, they brought him back into play. He did what he does. He balled out. He finished up with 146 yards and 1 touchdown on 27 attempts. I think at the half, he only had 28 yards rushing. So absolutely turned it on when they needed him. So well done, Tyler Beatty. Connor Basilic, very pedestrian numbers. He was 15 of 25. But for most of the game, you could tell he was still not 100%. He's been banged up now for a couple weeks with injury. Didn't really ever look all that comfortable, and absolutely was not fleet of foot. I think he had cement shoes on there for most of the game. Just could not escape. The mobility was not there. I know a lot of people were calling for a quarterback change, but overall it turned out. I mean, Coach Drink stuck with Connor, his starter. He did see it through, but there were times to where it probably would have been, I would have agreed with getting your backup at least one series to see what they had, because most of the first half, I mean, Basilic just could not escape any pressure put on by the Florida defense. For Florida, wow. They only were able to rush for 93 yards against that Missouri defense, which early in the season was an absolute joke of a defense. Kind of like 911 is a joke in your town, like Public Enemy and Flava Flav said, and Chuck D. But the last 2 games, the Missouri rush defense has really tightened it up. 2 weeks ago, 58 yards rushing against South Carolina in a victory. And then against Florida, 93 yards in a victory. So maybe that rush defense has turned the corner for Missouri here late. Florida, I think they had like 9 penalties. I mean, just a really ugly game. I mean, Florida really, too, when you look at the stats, they basically won every major statistical category. Missouri had the stat sheet of a loser 9 times out of 10, but not on this day. And because of that, Florida falls to 5-6. There was a lot of rumors about potentially Dan Mullen being fired if they lost this game, or if they lost next week to Florida State. I thought that if they got to 6-6, I think he would leave on his own recognizance. I definitely think this man wants to get to the NFL. But I did say if they go 5-7 and don't make a bowl game, I think he would have then been fired. But Florida did not wait. Sunday morning, they made the switch, and Dan Mullen has been fired at Florida. So now we have another coaching vacancy at the Power 5 level at a blue blood program in Florida. I'll definitely talk more about this tomorrow on my midweek show, as I have the last few weeks, because the coaching carousel continues to spin on, hopefully not coming to a town near you, but it could. And also the Troy coach got fired as well. So here we are at 14 coaches who've gotten fired during the season. We haven't even completed the season yet, and we've had 14 coaching changes. That is absolutely troubling and puzzling and shocking. But I'll talk more about that on tomorrow's show. But well done, Missouri. Coach Drinkowitz. A lot of criticism lately on play calling, on production, performance. You got your 6th win, and maybe they can make it 7. They travel to Arkansas on Black Friday. I'll talk more about this game during the Week 13 preview on Wednesday, but maybe they can get that 7th win. But well done for you, your staff, your players. Huge first step for the rebuild at Missouri. So well done. Well done. Next one, Iowa. Our Hawkeyes, the number 17 Hawkeyes, they got it done. They hosted Illinois on Senior Day in Iowa City. They won 33-23, but there were some issues. Iowa gets the victory, and I can't complain. Victories are victories. They sit 9-2, on the verge of getting to 10 wins, double-digit wins, if they go to Lincoln on Friday and win. Would I be disappointed in a 10-2 season? Absolutely not. I wouldn't even be disappointed with the 9-3 season. I mean, yes, this team was ranked number 2 at one point in the nation. Then they had back-to-back losses to Purdue and Wisconsin, which those aren't bad losses. Those teams were ranked. I mean, Wisconsin still ranked. Purdue was for, I think, 1 week. But still, just the way they lost. I mean, they were not impressive at all in those back-to-back losses. So if they were to lose and go 9-3, I'm not going to complain. I thought they'd go 8-4. So I would be totally happy with that. But it is a season to where then I could ask myself, well, what could have been? But still, they find themselves still in the Big Ten West race with that victory over Illinois. They need to win Friday, and they do need a little bit of help. If Wisconsin trips up in the Twin Cities against Minnesota in the battle for Paul Bunyan's axe, Iowa would win the Big Ten West, and get to Indianapolis to face either Ohio State or Michigan. So Iowa has every chance. They're in the thick of it until the very end, which is all you really can ask for as a fan is, does my team have a shot in Week 12, the last game of the year, to win the division and get to the conference title game? And Iowa is in that position. Take care of business, but they do need a little bit of help from Minnesota. So maybe Goldie can get it done. We'll be rooting hard for him here, us Hawkeye fans. But back to this game. So they won by 10, but overall not great numbers. I mean, they were outgained by Illinois. Alex Padilla, who making his 2nd start. Spencer Petras looks like he is healthy. He did take snaps. He was dressed pre-game, but they stuck with Alex Padilla. He was 6 of 17 for only 83 yards, 0 touchdowns, and did throw a pick. But to just make it fair, there was at least 5 drop passes that the Iowa receivers should have made for him, and the majority of those were on 3rd down. So drives would have continued. Maybe that margin of victory would have been more, but there was absolutely some bad drops. So those numbers look bad, but they shouldn't look as bad as they do for young Alex Padilla. Tyler Goodson, dude put in the work. He tallied 132 yards rushing on 27 attempts, but did not get into the end zone, unfortunately. Dude just put in the work, some overtime. Hopefully he doesn't run out of gas here against Nebraska and in the bowl game. In special teams, we trust. I mean, the Iowa special teams really is the unit that won the day in this game. Their defense, I'll get to that here next, but this is what the special teams did for the Hawkeyes. And you Hawkeye fans out there, you college football fans out there know how critical special teams are to Iowa. That Caleb Shudak was 4 of 5 on field goal attempts. Huge right there. Torrey Taylor, the punter from down under, 4 punts for an average of 47 yards per punt. 2 were down inside the 15-yard line. Finally, my boy, my guy, Charlie Jones, my favorite returner since my favorite Iowa player of all time, Tim Dwight, left us. Finally, the guy was due. He's been so close all year on kickoff and punt returns. He returned a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Way to go, Charlie Jones. So special teams definitely won the day. The Iowa defense only gave up, what is it here? I've got it. Let's see. 80, what did they give up? 68 yards. 68 yards rushing to Illinois, which is well under their season average. This is a team that first and second wants to run the ball. That's Bielema ball, even though he wasn't there coaching. So the Iowa defense, rush defense, definitely held them in check. And they recorded 2 more interceptions. That's 21 on the season. That leads all of college football with the most picks in college football. Well done, defense. So really kind of what we call the Iowa way. That's how they won this game. But offense, I'm still a little worried, especially going into this big tilt on Black Friday at Lincoln. Have to wait and see if Alex Padilla and the offense can clean it up just a little bit. But hey, we're 9-2. I'm not going to complain. We've got a chance for a great season, going 10-2. At that point, we'll be playing on New Year's Day, if not after. Can't wait. Maybe even the Big Ten title game. But tune in. I'll give you more analysis and breakdown. The Iowa at Nebraska game on the Week 13 preview on Wednesday. So it was definitely a good week for our black and golds. All right. So now let's get into how Pick'em treated me, Charlie, our guest pickers, my kids, and Brett. Let me get a quick swig here of some agua. Get a little parched. All right. So before we go into picks, I want to revisit my trap games, the games that I brought to your attention to where these teams are on trap notice. Admiral Akbar, he'd be proud. I didn't have myself a good week. Overall, I went 1-5. I got only 1 out of these 6 right. And the games that I share with you are as follows. I put Louisville on trap alert at Duke, but they won big 62-22 because I thought they'd be maybe looking ahead because they host their in-state rival Kentucky this week, but they feasted on Duke like everybody has. They find themselves winless in the ACC due to the Blue Devils. And Louisville picked up their 6th win to get bowl eligible. Congrats to you. Next team, I put Oklahoma on trap alert. At home against Iowa State, they took care of business and won 28-21. Highly contested game. It was very competitive. I thought they'd be looking ahead as they travel to number 9 Oklahoma State for Bedlam this week, but that did not work out for me. Next team I put on trap alert was NC State. They hosted Syracuse. They won 41-17 because I thought maybe they'd be looking past the Orange because this week they host their in-state rival, North Carolina. So I got that one incorrect as well. Next one was number 11 Baylor at Kansas State. I had Baylor on trap alert. Maybe potentially looking at a letdown game after their big win 2 weeks ago at home against Oklahoma. That did not work out. They won 20-10, another miss. The one I did get right was this one, Arizona State at Oregon. Actually, no, misspoke there. Let me catch myself. Let me check myself before I wreck myself. I had Oregon State on trap alert. They hosted Arizona State. I thought maybe the Beavers would be looking ahead to this week's game against Oregon in the game that could decide the Pac-12 North, but they were not looking past the Sun Devils. They won 24-10 in Corvallis. And the one I got right, Florida at Missouri. I put Florida on Trap Alert, especially, just because this week now, they host Florida State, their in-state rival, which not only is a rivalry game, but that determines, like I said earlier this episode, who's going to get to their 6th win. So I put Florida on Trap Alert, looking past the Missouri Tigers as a 9-point road favorite. That's the one I got right. So I went 1 for 5 on trap games this week. I'll definitely try to do better. You guys deserve better. You deserve more. And I know I can give you more. I am capable of doing better than that. Now let's get to everyone's favorite segment. Let's look at the Week 12 Pick'em recap. Wow, it was a great week. Coming into it, I was slightly behind Charlie, but my former guest picker, we've had this ongoing contest going on through the entire season. We're getting ready to wrap up regular season, then move into conference championship games and bowl season. Charlie had himself a weekend. He went 14-1 overall. Me, I had a good week as well. I went 12-3, which isn't too shabby, but still lost ground going 12-3. Well done, Charlie. I submit that was an excellent week you called. In our guest picker tournament, our second and final spot was clinched. The kids faced off against Brett, and Brett had himself a good weekend too. He went 13-2. My kids, they kind of went more with the upsets. They tried, and unfortunately, their Cinderella run comes to an end. They went 7-8 on Saturday, so overall they did well, but just wasn't quite enough. I wish all of our guest pickers would walk away with something, could get the victory, but as they say in Highlander, there can be only one. So, week 13, it all gets decided. Our guest picker tournament final looks like this. We have Brett versus Brad, the B&B show. To the winner goes the championship, bragging rights, a trophy or prize that has yet to be determined by me. I will get on it, I promise. And in the first ever, the inaugural guest picker tournament for the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Can't wait for that. Good luck, Brett. Good luck, Brad. And I want to say thank you at this point, and I will on the Week 13 preview show as well. Thank you to all of our guest pickers. This was a lot of fun. Without you, this couldn't have been possible. It's been awesome. It's been a great experience, and thank you for being with me. So appreciate all of you out there, all of the guest pickers this year. So this is how we are now. This to summarize how picks went. We all got Alabama, Ohio State, Iowa, and Army right. We all missed none because that was it. We were so spot on and we were so close. 14-1, 13-2, 12-3. There wasn't a lot of big discrepancies. So there were no games that all of us missed. And Brett, the kids, Charlie, myself, none of us got one right that the other three missed because it was so close. It was a very odd week. So after week 12, here's the season standings. Charlie now improves to 118-62, good for 66%. Me, I'm at 111-69, good for 62%. So I am trailing him by 7 games now. I still got some time. A few more weeks left with the regular season, championship weekend, and bowls. But it's going to be a little more difficult, I think, for us to get to that 70% goal that we set ourselves preseason. We thought that was our goal. We want to be at 70 percentile. Charlie's going to be close. He's at 66%, like I said. Me at 62. I really got to kick it in the ass here a little bit. So we'll see what I can do. So can't wait for the Week 13 preview show. Stand by. I'm going to pick the 15 best games, and a little spoiler alert. This week, each and every one of the games that I have picked will have huge playoff implications and conference championship race implications as well. It all comes down to Week 13. as the way it should be each and every year. So that's it. That's my episode for today, my Week 12 review show. It's been excellent. Once again, I appreciate your support, your involvement. Any likes, shares, or subscribes would be greatly appreciated. Any comments, let me know. I'd love to share your insight on air with everyone, the Black and Gold family. It's been excellent. And like I said, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm putting an OT this week on the show. I'll be on tomorrow for the Power Ranking show. I expect that show to be on the channel by early afternoon, if not early evening. So check back with that. So until tomorrow, thank you once again for joining me on the Week 12 review show of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Until tomorrow, have a good day. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.